but anybody who's been a teacher knows that it is very taxing and it can be a very challenging environment to continue with, especially with the low pay. So one of my goals going into grant writing was I want to continue to make an impact, but I
Yeah.
want to feel comfortable financially, kind of for the first time ever.
Hello, hello, hello. It's Holly Rustick here with grant writing and funding. Woo, I'm a little tongue twisted. It is Friday here in Guam. So I'm gonna say that's what it is. But welcome to the podcast. I have a Freelance Grant Writer Academy student, Grace Scamurra, inside the house today, and you're going to be talking about your experience inside the academy and how it's really even before in the green room, you're like, it's changed my life. So I was like, I'm so excited. So thank you for coming on the podcast to share your story today.
Yeah, thank you so much for inviting me. Like I said, joining the academy has been a huge shift for me in a lot of ways. So I'm excited to be here and to talk to you more about it.
I love it. I love it. And then you even said it was so funny. You're like, because I said, oh, yeah, this is a great, so other people can listen to it. So it's not just me saying, hey, the academy is great, but it's actually students get to share how it's impacted their life. The academy has impacted their lives. And you were like, it's full circle. That's how you made the decision to come in the academy as you were listening to some of the podcast of students. So I love that. Do you
Yeah,
remember
I
which one
remember
it was? Or just like, was it a combination of several that you were listening to or?
there was a few. I know I listened to Tiffany's podcast because she and I actually had a very parallel story. So I saw a lot of connections there, and I reached out to her once I joined the group, and I said, your story was one of the inspirations for me to join. So I
Oh.
know how much it can mean to hear somebody else's experience with it, and to hear that they are so glad that they joined. So I think it's so valuable to offer that.
Yeah. Oh, I love that, Tiffany. And then yeah, it's so good. Then you heard her on a podcast, like in the ether, and now like you know her, like you're in the academy, you see her every week, you see her in the Slack channel. How cool is that?
Right, it's such a
Yeah.
full circle moment, and I kind of felt like I was like, "Oh my gosh, that's Tiffany from the podcast."
Yeah.
Like, I know her.
And then you get in and you're like, yeah, you see all her wins, but you also see like she shares like this is what I'm struggling with today, right? Like I love that our students are so honest with every moment of their entrepreneurship journey that it really is helpful that it's not yeah, it's rainbows. We're going to hear all about your rainbows today, but also knowing like, hey, you're an entrepreneur. Sometimes you don't get that sales call and it like you're gutted for the day. You have a moment, you spin out, right? Like that's just what is normal for entrepreneurs. So I love that everyone's just so honest and supportive of each other to be like, "Yep, that we're in it together."
I think that's one of my favorite parts, the Slack channel. The highs and the lows all get shared there, and I think that just transparency makes you feel so much, like you said, more supported, less alone. Like, okay, I'm not the
Yeah.
only one who maybe feels like I fumbled a sales call or is struggling to figure out my boundaries with this client. I think it normalizes the process in a really, really beneficial way.
Oh, I love that. I love it. Yeah. So, okay. So, Grace, tell us about your. So, you started Nurtured Funding Solutions, and you also joined the academy in January. So, can you tell us about like where you were at in your grant writing and freelance grant writing journey before you joined? Basically, it was like almost 6 months ago. That now that we're recording this in the end of May.
Yeah, so about 6 months ago, I wouldn't say I had much of a freelance grant writing experience at all. I was teaching high school at the time, and, I'd had some exposure to grant writing in the past. Somebody had suggested it to me. I have a background in journalism, so it was kind of a natural connection with I really love research and I love writing. So I'd taken a course in grant writing several years ago now, it was pre-COVID. Um, and it was a really beneficial course that taught me the foundations, what a grant is, how to write grants, how to research for grants. But at the end of the course, I reached out to the professor and I said, I don't have many connections in the nonprofit world. How do I go about building up, I want to be a freelancer. How do I do that? And was kind of met with, oh, it's really hard. Good luck. And that was
Oh,
really it. Yeah.
wow.
And I realized what I needed was a coaching program. But I didn't even really know that those existed at the time. So it kind of went into the back burner. I ended up teaching a project with my students about grant making, which is a really cool way to kind of still be involved in using that knowledge I'd gained, but in a different way. And then, the thought of entering freelance grant writing was always in the back of my mind, and it kind of just came up a little bit more this past year as I was questioning what my next move was. And that's when I found your podcast, and I started listening to the stories of other, grant writers in the academy, and I just decided, there's no better time to take a leap, than then. So I went for it. You were launching you were opening the doors to the academy, I think, like, 5 days after I found your podcast, and I was like,
Wow.
"That's serendipity, I've gotta do it."
It's like fate. Oh, they're
Yeah.
open now.
Exactly, I'm like, "Well, doors are open, might as well enter." So, it was definitely a leap of faith for me. I was not an existing grant writer. I'd worked with my friend's nonprofit as a volunteer a little bit here and there, but really nothing concrete, nothing paid. So I was a brand new grant writer, and the way that's shifted in 6 months, I mean, I am now paid for grant writing, I am not volunteering anymore, and I did just accept a full-time grant writing position that I'm viewing as my anchor client, that starts on Monday, so the changes in just, yeah, 5, 6 months have been huge.
I love it. I love it. And I was looking through because we keep track of everything, like whenever you guys submit things and everything. So I could look at so before our call, I kind of went back and I said, okay, what's Grace's experience been like? So I can look at it in one bird's eye view. Because I've been
Mhm.
sharing it as through your journey in the Slack channel and everything. But I was like, let me see the full journey over the last 6 months at one click. And I was like, oh yeah, you came in going, I just really want to learn how to set up a business to like going, I've got two freelance clients and I'm taking this full-time anchor client. And I was like, oh my gosh. And I was like, I've already gotten 16K just in my freelance clients within 6 months. And you're getting a new job, which is a 30K raise from before the job you had before. And I was like, wow, like you're running a business, you have an anchor client, you've gotten all this, like that's $46,000 just in increases, right? Like alone. And that's not even like your base salary for that because of the skills and confidence. And you even I read one of your things that said, oh my gosh, it's my first client that I went from volunteering to paid the first time ever. And I was like, whoa, from that to like, amazing, amazing journey. So I just applaud you for applying everything that you've learned in the program and making it work for you and your family.
Yeah, thank you so much. That volunteered to paid journey was something I was nervous about because I was volunteering with an organization when I joined the academy, and I was really nervous about how to navigate that, how to vocalize, okay, I I'm wanting to get paid for my services now. I have valuable skill sets, and I think, you mentioned the confidence. I think that was such a huge thing for me too. My very first post in the Slack channel was, "I have imposter syndrome. I can't believe I signed up." I was so unsure of, my place as a grant writer. I wasn't able to call myself confidently a grant writer. And I think even just the confidence I've gotten from the knowledge I've gained, the amazing reviews you give of all of our grants and materials, it really has boosted my confidence in a really extreme way. So that now I can confidently say, yeah, I am a grant writer and I made the journey from volunteer to paid.
I love that. And did you use our actual curriculum? Because we actually have from volunteer to getting paid. Did you use
Yes,
that curriculum? Yes.
I did.
Yeah. So that was
Yeah.
helpful to know like what type of vocabulary to use for that conversation. Because it's basically like, here's how to have a conversation, like that curriculum. But it's so impactful because so many of us, we do suffer with that. I started as a volunteer and now I'm going to talk money. This feels uncomfortable. I don't know how to do it right in a way that's neutral. I don't want to ruffle any feathers, but I also want to get paid now because I've been volunteering. So it's a really like kind of right place to be if you
Mhm.
don't have that vocabulary and that like here just do this, keep it neutral. So how was that implementing that curriculum helpful for you? Like did how'd you I mean it obviously worked, but how was that conversation and your feelings around it because you leaned in that curriculum?
Yeah, I mean, it was nerve-wracking. I will say that the communication piece was scary to me, and especially with sales calls as well. I did not know how the first thing of how to begin a sales call, of how to um, communicate my worth and the value that I could bring to the organization. First, because I don't think I even really fully understood that. So some of the
Mhm.
curriculum in the academy has been so helpful for me, even just being able to vocalize and identify what value I'm bringing to an organization. And I think that was key for me to even just know it myself, gain that confidence. And then all of that like you have such great information around how to have the conversation for if you're volunteering, how to go to being paid, but then also how to run a sales call
Yeah.
confidently and from start to finish, even down to how they should be, the information you should be gathering when you sign up for the sales call, down to the follow up and what you should be clarifying before you end the call. So I think that conversation kind of outline, or it's almost like a template for a conversation. It's really helpful when you're so inexperienced with that. So I went into those conversations really nervous. My first sales call, I was like bright in the face and sweating a little bit.
Yep.
And it really does give you confidence though to have the kind of the guidelines, the tips,
Mhm.
and then
Yeah.
also the Slack channel to go in there and be like, I just had my first sales call and I didn't go back on my prices and to have kind of that, yeah, that support. So all around, I think I went in with a lot of nerves, but there's a lot of awesome resources, not only for the kind of the knowledge side of things, but those, like you said, those conversations.
Yeah, so good. And I love that. I remember that post and you're like, "Oh my gosh, like I was so wanting to give a discount and I didn't." And I you know, like,
I was like,
yeah,
I'm just kidding. It's all for free. It's all for free.
yeah, but you didn't do it. You
I
didn't do
didn't.
it. Yeah, and the thing is if you wouldn't have had that curriculum, if you wouldn't have had that like that outline, would you have given a discount? Like probably.
I think I probably would have. And I
Yeah.
think, um, yeah, there's so many pieces that I would have undercharged for as well. Like there's a lot that I wouldn't have valued as much, going into that.
Yeah, and I love that you were able to look at the curriculum, look at the outline, get in there, get what you needed because you had a sales call coming up and you're like, I need to look at the nonprofit
Mhm.
ethical sales call system that we have to get that ready. And then I love how you leaned into the community for that support though. You put it in Slack, everyone's like, I got you, you're doing good. You know what I mean? Like you use that to be like, okay, this is my community, this is my team, I need this support right now. And I think that's so important. And that's where I see the people who get the most success is they do lean into the community when they need it, right? When they need that kind of like extra support, because that's what it's there for. And everyone in the academy who's done their first sales call felt very similar to you, right? Like and so it is like, and that's why we give you the outline because you're still going to have your feelings. Like you're going to have your feelings. It's new. It's not like they automatically go away and you just come in like totally confident, like I've got, I can, whatever, this is my price. Like you're still going to have feelings, but when you have a process and a community, like you stick to your guns a little bit more, right? Like how you did. Like I'm going to stick to my pricing though, even though I want to give this discount because of, underneath money kind of issues, whatever that is, right? That we all bring in to this, we bring into our businesses, some money trauma, some money things like, like this, the culture with nonprofits, like we bring that in. So I love how you did that so much and leaned into the community for that.
Yeah, thank you. And I think even you bringing up the money stories we tell ourselves, the money trauma that we have, that is actually something that indirectly the academy really helped me with as well. In one of the modules I was going through, I can't remember which one, but you mentioned kind of offhand, oh, there's a great book you should read. We Should All Be Millionaires.
Mhm.
And I
Did you
immediately was like,
rush
let me get that
this?
on
Yeah.
Audible. Yeah, I downloaded it and I listened to it. And that was before that sales call. And it really helped to kind of frame that mindset. So absolutely, there's so much more value than just the content in the curriculum and in the courses, but it's I've been exposed to major mindset changes or shifts. You have a mindset curriculum. I think that that is so helpful for overcoming those awkward, scary, nervous hurdles that a lot of times, I mean, was one of the biggest barriers preventing me from pursuing a freelance career was I don't know how to have those conversations. I don't know what to charge. Um, Kind of those bigger questions than even just, I think I know I can do this job, but I don't know how to market myself. I don't know the business side of things. So I found a lot of value in kind of those mindset tools that you provide as well.
I love that. Yeah, because we can give you the system. Like, here's a system, do this, ask these questions. It's very helpful. But if you don't also look at your mindset as an entrepreneur, that's where you are going to buckle down. Oh, okay. Do you want a discount? Do you want this? Like, not set up your boundaries, even though you know what to do. Like, so even sometimes I'll see people in the academy and they're like, this is what happened. And I'm like, why did that happen? They're like, well, I have it in my policy, but I'm like, but were you implementing it? No. Okay, then the real question isn't about what your bound or what your policies are to create boundaries or what your outline is for your sales call, but it's about your mindset. That's
Mhm.
really the core of the result that we're seeing right now. So you can have all the strategy in the world, but if you don't implement it, then it's like, ooh, that's some mindset, that's some things coming up from the past or from the culture. Like, that's something we need to dive into. So I'm
Mhm.
so glad that you're diving into the mindset curriculum, because that's where you're really going to see a lot of change, like real change that you can lean into occur, right? Is when you get to those types of questions like, why am I nervous about a sales call? Right. And it's like peeling back the layers to say, okay, well, I heard that, if you're working with a nonprofit, you should work for free. Like, maybe that's a story that was told to me growing up. They're charitable organization. So I should, or it's a labor of love. Like, I've been hearing these kind of stories. So it's also like, let's break down these stories that you've heard for your life and say, are these true? Are these right? Can we change these stories? Right. So we can have a better and more equitable life. So I think that's also a lot of we're definitely disrupting the culture. And it comes back to just getting to the core of some of those feelings. Why am I feeling this way? It's usually because of different stories you were told or believed, throughout your entire life, right? And it reflects on the culture of the org. So we're going deep here. We're going deep, right?
I know, and it really is so much more than, I'm so grateful that there is a career coaching community that exists like the Academy. I think that there's invaluable resources, invaluable support within that. But like you said, to be able, what I love about the Academy is that ability to dig in deeper,
Mhm.
to know that, these business questions, these career questions, a lot of it stems from, yeah, something deeper. And so I just really appreciate that in like all the Slack channel communications and the business calls. It really does take like a human look at things. Like, it's not just, oh, are your policies there? But it's, how do you feel about them? How are you incorporating that? Is like always kind of the language in the Slack channel. So I love that.
Ooh, so good, so good. All right, so you kind of came in. You also said you were having some imposter syndrome around your grant writing in general when you joined. So we do teach grant writing skills and we teach business acumen skills, right? So, and you've utilized both of those. So how have you really overcome feeling like an imposter just with your grant writing? What have you used inside the program to help you, yeah, be stronger in your grant writing skills or just be more confident in them?
Yeah, the 30-day master grant application challenge, it was starting right when I joined the academy, so it was kind of cool that I got to, each day a new video came out and I would look forward to it, and I would set aside time and I would do the tasks that day. So it was like every day, I was chugging away at it a little bit, and I was volunteering with an organization, so I had a real life example, that I was working on with that. And that process, not only did it really solidify for me my that I know the grant writing process, it really taught me kind of to break down each piece of a grant template. So for those who might not know, the master grant application template is an entire document that compiles all the most common grant application questions, and it's almost also it does double as a business plan for this
Mhm,
project. And so when I
mhm,
went through it, I was seeing in real time the value it was giving to an organization, because I was completing it for an organization I was volunteering with, and I was seeing them get more clarity on their goals, on on what their objectives were, on what their outputs were going to be, on the outcomes they were searching for. And then I also saw it giving me so much more clarity on how to work with that organization, how to understand them better, and in grant writing as a whole. So that master grant template, now I have since completed one paid for an organization. Um,
mhm.
yes. And
Love.
they, again, just couldn't say enough how valuable it was to them, um,
Mhm,
to stop and ask those questions. What is our goal? What are the objectives that we're aiming to achieve, and by when? Getting those SMART objectives, things that can sometimes be overlooked when you're trying to manage a million different tasks and then write a grant on the side. So when you really
Yeah.
have the time to sit down and think about it, I just saw how beneficial that could be for strategy and yeah, and for future templates and just speeding up the process. So that has been kind of my holy grail of grant writing curriculum. As I've been
Mhm.
writing grants, I often dip back into the notes I took while I was going through the course. And I kind of made myself my own document where I can click through and just refresh and review some of the information you gave. So that has been super,
Yes.
super helpful. In the review process as well. So you do grant reviews, which is so
Yes.
awesome. So I've used that a ton, especially for the first two clients I've been working with. I've submitted almost every grant that I've done for them.
Mhm.
Just to get your opinion on it. And I actually just submitted a grant today that you had reviewed, and I felt so good about it. I got really good feedback from them as well. You gave great suggestions on where I could kind of strengthen my statistics and my data, where I could strengthen um, the parts of the narrative. And so I think both of those assets have really helped me. The knowing how to do the master grant template and then having the ability to get my content reviewed has been the best part in like building up my confidence and my knowledge with the actual writing side of things.
I love that so much, and I love that. I mean, can you imagine not having that and working with clients right now? Like, there would be a lot more imposter syndrome because you'd be like, "Oh, is this gonna look good?" Because you're getting them reviewed before you give it to the clients, right?
Yes. Oh,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah.
Yeah.
So that is also, like, amazing because you're getting just, to increase your confidence overall that you're getting experts that look at your grants before you even give them there to your clients. Like, I think that's such a win for the academy is, of course, you're gonna have them reviewed before you submit them, but you're working with clients, and a lot of people, like, I remember one of the grants I worked with for the first time when I worked with, like, government administrators. And I was so nervous because I know they write federal grants all the time, but they were just outsourcing me for one. And I remember how nervous I was. And I didn't have the ability to get it reviewed by experts before I gave it to them. So I spent so much more time on it. And I just, I remember going, I wish I could just have somebody review this. So I would just feel more confident and make sure all my T's are crossed and I's are dotted. Right. So I just, all of that. So I'm like, oh my gosh, I love that you're using that in the program because you get unlimited grant reviews in our program, which is
Yeah.
insane.
It's
So
incredible. I mean, that right there is worth your value, immediately.
yeah,
It is having been, somebody who came in with all this kind of imposter syndrome or insecurity about, am I able to go out there and start working with clients? Am I ready for that? That review process has like you said, given me so much confidence. Yesterday, I got a text from one of my clients when I shared with her the grant that you had reviewed, and I had revised after your reviews, and I think she said something along the lines of, as I'm reading this, I'm thinking, what an amazing organization. She was impressed by it. And
yeah.
so I think that, that's twofold. I'm feeling more confident in what I'm presenting to my clients, and then they're feeling more confident in their choice to hire me. So
Yeah.
that really is a very helpful resource.
Yeah, and we always say that, like, the academy is a part of your team. Yes, you're a freelancer,
Mhm.
yes, you're solo, but you have an entire team behind you that does grant reviews for you, answers questions along the way. Other freelancers can't say that. You know what I mean? You have to work in large agencies usually to get this type of support. So we just love that, everything that I knew that when I was freelancing alone, I was like, I wish I had this and this and this. Put it all in the academy because I know how helpful it can be, right, to have those resources. So I love that you're utilizing that for your grant writing skills. Okay, so you also came in, like you said, as a volunteer, but you were able to get your first clients. Can you tell us about that journey and like what from the academy helped you secure those clients or what you utilized for that, et cetera?
Yeah, so I actually started subcontracting under another grant writer, which was also just an amazing way for me to learn more about the grant writing process and the business side of things.
Yes.
So by subcontracting, I was able to work with a client kind of indirectly and to get um, the support of that lead grant writer. So I kind of had a double layer of reviews. I was writing this, and then the lead grant writer was reviewing it. after I'd already had it reviewed by the experts in the academy, and then it was being sent to the client. So I can't recommend enough the subcontracting as a way to gain that experience without necessarily having to deal with the business side of things right off the bat.
Right, and they get paid, right, as well, without having to do, like, all the business things. So I love it.
Exactly,
Yeah,
exactly, getting paid. So that was really helpful to me. And then my work through that subcontractor just kind of grew, and I started taking leadership over some of the clients. So it's been a really awesome experience to see how um, the trust in me as a writer grew.
mhm.
And then the kind of my capacity and what I felt comfortable and capable of taking on grew as well.
Oh, I love that. I love that so much. Okay, so and then you have now a job, but we like to call our jobs of, and I'm always like, yeah, if you guys get a full-time job as a grant writer, just treat it as an anchor client. So can you tell, and you're starting Monday. This is all like so
So
happening. But and
true.
you said it's also a 30K increase in pay compared to your previous job, which is amazing. So can you talk about that as well? Huh.
Yeah, so just to say too, my previous job was teaching high school, and I loved the position, but anybody who's been a teacher knows that it is very taxing, and it can be a very challenging environment to continue with, especially with the low pay. So one of my goals going into grant writing was I want to continue to make an impact, but I
Yeah.
want to feel comfortable financially, kind of for the first time ever. And
Yeah.
so I had pretty clear desires when I was looking for work. I knew I wanted to get something more full time so then I could be a little pickier about the clients I take on, and I wasn't just, going for anybody who came
Yeah.
to me
Mm.
because I needed it. So, like you said, the anchor client, kind of that like keeping me grounded. And then I ended up accepting a position that is full-time grant writing within a nonprofit, and it is a 30K increase from my teaching salary. It is a nearly double what I was making as an educator. So it is just a really amazing feeling to have accepted that, to have been given that offer.
Yeah.
Yeah, and to know that again, without the confidence, without the resources I've had, I don't know if I'd be in this situation, in this position.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that so much. And I love that you're also going to keep, you mentioned you're going to keep your freelance clients on the side, right? So you're like, I'm still going to keep like one or two on the side. And like you said, you're going to really build it up. And now you're even going to get more experience because your specific job is grant writing. Like teaching is great, but you're not getting the direct skills aligned with this business, right? So now you're getting more skills. So then you can create, at any time, maybe turn that full-time position into a consulting position at some point, right? Or just getting more experience. So then, like you said, oh, I only take 1 to 2 clients on the side per year because, that's your time or whatnot. And you'll feel like you can charge rates that you want to charge and you can be a lot more picky. So I love that. And to your point, like you started this business to have meaning as well. Like, of course, like finances are a great reward for that too, because that's important, but also to have this meaning. So now you can pick clients who are like, okay, I love your cause. I want to see more grants in that area as a legacy that I want to leave too to support that cause. So is that kind of what you're thinking too in that way?
Absolutely. I feel right now I'm working with a client who I am so passionately in love with their mission, and it's been fun to be working with them and to be telling their story. I really enjoy it. And so I think that is something I'm absolutely looking for from having an anchor client, knowing, okay, my finances are safe, they're set, I'm stable, and now I get to continue to make income by working with organizations that I love and that I feel passionate about. And so I think that that is absolutely the intention. And having, the academy as a resource, I fully plan to um, continue building that and building up the freelance side of things. But like you said, being picky about it and choosing organizations that I feel really good about supporting.
Yeah. Oh, I love it so much. I love it. So you have definitely gotten your investment back and more very quickly. So this is people that are like, I don't know, it's the investment. I know $2,500 is it's an investment, but at the same time, like, wow, to see how you've gotten such an increase in such a great ROI in your investment in finances, but also in your life, like your entire life situation has changed, right? So
Mhm.
Like, that's amazing. And I know like being a teacher is an amazing job as well, but looking at your life now and how you've wanted to position it and what your goals were for it, it's lining up like in the way you want it to have your trajectory kind of change, right? So I love that for you so much. Can you speak a little bit about like family balance a little bit as you've been building this out? Because it is a lot of change.
Yeah, absolutely. So when I was a teacher, my job included not only just the hours I was there, but my commute. My job included I was doing a lot of work on the weekends, and extra hours that weren't unpaid. And so I would say, I had a lot of fulfillment in that role, but I did not have a lot of freedom, balance, flexibility, things that I've realized are really important to me.
Mhm.
And so now that my life has kind of flipped around, and now I'm going to be entering into a full-time grant writing position. My job is fully remote, so I get to work from the comfort of my home.
Love it.
I get to be home with my dog and take him on walks, and I don't have to, get a sitter and hope that they're coming by on time or something like that. Um,
Mhm.
I get to have a lot more flexibility. I just actually came back from like a week-long trip visiting some family, that I was able to do because I could bring work with me. Whereas before it was like, maybe during Christmas break. That was
Oh, and
kind
then
of
you're just exhausted. My mom's been
exactly.
a full-time educator my entire life, so I was a teacher for a while too, so I get you. Yeah.
Yeah, you're like, all I wanna do is lay on the couch, and yeah, and now I've gotta go on all the visit everybody, and yeah, exactly. So, having that flexibility to not have to choose between work or something I want to do, but I can kind of blend them. I can say, "Yeah, I'm gonna go visit somebody, or go on a week-long trip and just bring my work with me." So then I can get my work done, and then when I close my laptop, I'm in a new place I get to explore, or I'm, with family that I haven't seen in a long time. So that has just been so valuable to me. My partner and I are in the process of wanting to, eventually buy a house, like settling down, getting some roots, and I feel like for the first time, I'm in a trajectory where I'll be able to put away some substantial savings, where I'll be able to think more about the future than just the right now and how do I get by in this moment.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, I love that so much. I love it. Ah, so much freedom, flexibility in your life now that you made this choice. So I just applaud you for making the choice and coming in and dedicating. It takes some time to get to show up in Slack sometimes and ask questions or to go through a little bit of the curriculum and apply it. Like, you do have to put some work in the academy to also see the results, to show up to the coaching calls when you need them, all of that. So I do apply or applaud you for coming in and, really committing to the program and being such a valuable student too, where people can come and ask you questions now, like they're seeing your growth. Like, I love that so much. And always being vulnerable. Like, this is how I felt. Like, yes, like, look at you, like, oh my gosh, you've achieved so much into 6 months. Like, it is mind blowing. Right. But at the same time, you're like still being vulnerable and showing up like that. And I love that so much. So, thank you so much for trusting in us and joining the program. I love to see all the results that have happened in your life and your business because of the program. So, yeah, just love it so much. Anything else you'd like to share for folks who are listening and might are considering joining the academy?
Yeah, thank you so much. I think the only other thing I would say is just to for anybody who's considering taking the leap and entering into the academy is to trust your why, trust why you want to do it, um, and commit to it. Yeah.
Oh, I love that. So good. So good. Awesome. All right. So those people listening out there that might be nonprofits too, looking for a grant writer, you are at nurturedfunding.com. And what is your cause area? What are the things that you're really passionate about helping nonprofits since you are being picky?
Yes.
Yeah.
I am really passionate about working with education nonprofits, youth development, and social impact in that area.
Love it, love it. And with your background too, that totally makes sense. So yeah, absolutely love it. All right. So, and we'll have where to find you on the show notes, also nurturedfunding.com. And we'll have anywhere else we're at LinkedIn, all of the things on the show notes. So thank you so much, Grace, for coming on and sharing your experience in the Academy. And yeah, it's been such a pleasure having you as a student, and I'll see you on our next call next week.
Yeah, thank you so much, Holly. I'm really happy I got to do this. So thank you.